What is going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot. Welcome to another edition of Watch Along Wrestling. So glad to be back here with you guys. It has been a crazy, crazy week. I still have, look at this, I still have, what is this? Super Bowl balloons around my house here. From the Watch Along Wrestling Super Bowl party, I guess. But glad to be on here chatting with you guys after a jam-packed Monday Night Raw last night. Going to get into it in a second. But I had a great time down in Arizona. We're about a week or so removed from Arizona, so it's great to be back with you guys. We had a really fun trip, my wife and I, down there. Got to meet a lot of really cool people, and we had a lot of fun. If you guys haven't gotten a chance yet, go check out our video that we posted from our trip to Arizona. We had a little live tour of the WWE Access Superstore, and then from there, we also did a deal where we had a we were actually at NXT TakeOver, and it was one of these deals where I was trying to fiddle with my phone and get a photo of DIY standing there holding up both belts. You had Johnny Gargano with the North American, you had Tommaso Ciampa with the NXT World title. So I'm just trying to get a photo, and then all of a sudden Velveteen Dream's music hits, and I ended up getting the full post-match, which kind of set up the whole halftime heat this past week. The great six-man tag match. If you guys haven't been able to see that, check that out on the WWE Network. The great six-man tag match between Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and Adam Cole against Ricochet, the Velveteen Dream, and Aleister Black. So the setup to that happened right there. Was not expecting that, but it was kind of cool, and it was funny because if you go and you watch that video, Aleister Black, Ricochet, and the Velveteen Dream, I thought they did a really good job in. It kind of made it seem like this was their swan song. Each one came out, got their music played, everyone was excited, everyone was doing their thing. And then as time passes, everyone was like, oh crap, is this the end for Velveteen here? And this shadow of the balloon going on there. Is this the end of Velveteen Dream and Ricochet and Aleister Black in NXT? Are they all going to make their debuts at the Royal Rumble? Ended up not happening, but Aleister Black was in the Rumble, and Johnny Gargano, as well as Pete Dunne. So there was some good NXT representation in the Rumble, and they've done a good job in making those surprise entrants in the Rumble, are reflective of what's going on in NXT and NXT UK and kind of that next generation of WWE talent coming down the pipeline. So we had a blast in Arizona. Keep your eyes peeled. I am going to post another video probably tomorrow, just kind of recapping the whole week there. The WWE Access, I have some footage from there. Also have some footage from a little bit of footage, just kind of the sights and sounds of the Royal Rumble weekend right there in Arizona. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Hope you guys will enjoy. And if you like what you see, of course, definitely subscribe to Watch Along Wrestling. We'll be here throughout the week with a lot of really fun content. And as always, you can also follow me on Twitter at WatchWrestlePod. So let's get into it, though. Monday Night Raw emanated last night from Portland, Oregon. I had this up and fired and ready to go. So if you're a subscriber to Watch Along Wrestling, you probably saw this like up on the deal where it was like kind of a situation where this probably was listed as something, but then there was no content there. The reason for that was just I was having some major technical difficulties. I've had them since we were returned from Arizona. We had someone come in and kind of redo our Wi-Fi over here. So hopefully everything is now back up to snuff and we'll be able to get moving on these things. So, but I thought last night's Raw, couple things I enjoyed about last night's Raw, couple things I absolutely hated about last night's Raw. The end of Raw, I'll get to it, but it was awful. One of the worst, most mind-boggling decisions I've ever seen them do with last night's Raw. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know what the story was. I do know that Seth Rollins is dealing with a little bit of an injury right now. His back is banged up, so some reports coming out about that he may not be competing on WWE television for the next month. Going, who knows if he'll even be on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. So I understand they don't have him. Obviously, Brock, I don't think he's scheduled to be there. Seems like John Cena, I've heard reports he's not going to be around till WrestleMania. So I get that they're thin. But with that said, last night's Raw, if you watched the entire episode of Raw and you were excited for the main event, the show-long storyline that unfolded, you got nothing towards the end of Raw, which I thought was really, in many ways, lame. And I thought that was something that, they could have done a much better job, in my opinion, of really giving you a little more there to kind of sink your teeth into and to see kind of where everything was at. So, but let's get into it. Starts off Raw, and I'm gonna get into this right off the top here. The Becky Lynch ordeal, the Becky Lynch, I guess, storyline that she is now quote unquote suspended by Stephanie McMahon, meaning that she will not be on the show for the time being, I guess. But the storyline there, and this is all storyline, so I mean, not to break kayfabe or any of that, but it does seem that whoever the whole storyline with Stephanie and with Stephanie McMahon and Becky Lynch was that Becky's knee is banged up. So this is a situation where she basically her whole deal last night with Stephanie and Becky Lynch. Stephanie was trying to get Becky Lynch to go and see the doctor. But the storyline is that Becky feels she has no more time to go see the doctor because she had the whole situation with the Survivor Series ordeal where the match with Ronda Rousey was, kind of taken off. And she was pulled from that match due to the injury caused by Nia Jax. So because of that, Becky had basically now it doesn't want to go see the doctor because she knows her knee is banged up from the attack by Nia Jax at the Royal Rumble. She knows she has some issues. She doesn't want to go and see the doctor. So she absolutely refused. Eventually, this led to Stephanie kind of coming out and saying, "Hey, if you don't go to see the doctor, we can't have you here on Raw." And so this was a situation where she didn't get a chance to. She absolutely refused. She said that she didn't want to be there. And what ended up happening was Stephanie said, "Hey, if you don't go to the doctor, you have your choice. But if you don't do it, you're gone. You're going to be suspended indefinitely." So this takes Becky a minute to think. She's like, "Please don't do this to me, Steph. Don't do this to me. Blah, blah, blah. You can't do this to me." Eventually, Stephanie decides to suspend Becky Lynch immediately. Immediately, I am brought back. If you remember when Stone Cold Steve Austin first won the title back in 1998, Austin was on Raw, and Vince McMahon kind of brought out Stone Cold, and he told Stone Cold that, while he was happy he was champion, if he was going to be champion in the same way in which he's been acting recently, Vince wanted no part of Stone Cold being champion. And basically said he's got to do things the right way. He's got to understand, you kind of follow along procedures, different things to that extent. The company has guidelines and policies and procedures and whatever. So Vince basically told Stone Cold, "Hey, if you don't go ahead and follow along the way I want you to do it, you can do things that, you're going to do it regardless." And he said there's two ways to do it, the easy way or the hard way. This got Austin like, well, what's the difference between the easy way or the hard way? And really kind of kick-started the whole Vince McMahon and Stone Cold feud. Just a couple weeks later, they were having a match on Raw with one arm tied behind Austin's back, and they were really kind of, boom, off to the races with the Vince McMahon character. So yesterday when I heard that they were going to be doing this, I was like, are they going to actually pivot off of Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch to give us Stephanie McMahon and Becky Lynch instead? Which would be, no offense to Stephanie. I think Stephanie works really hard when she trains for her matches. I think she does well when she's in there. I thought her match with Ronda last year at Mania, the tag match, sure, you had Triple H and Kurt Angle kind of in there to lead the way. But I think Stephanie did fine. That said, this match between Becky and Ronda has so much hype behind it, so much around it. People are so excited about it. I don't think there's anything that's going to be added to that show. And I mean, we're still a month or so away. We're 61 days away from WrestleMania, so anything could happen. But I'd say as of where we're seated right now, that is the #1 match. That's the match people want to see. So I was like, they're not going to take that away. And I mean, part of me thought there was a chance they would because clearly they probably don't want Ronda Rousey to be booed. And she's going to be booed if she's in there with Becky. So I wasn't 100% sure which way they were going to go with it. Then I watched that whole angle unfold. I see that Becky got suspended, and I said, I got a theory. They're going to be going the route of the triple threat. I know some people hate that, but some people aren't stoked about it. I personally prefer the one-on-one too. I think it adds to it. I don't recall a time where a triple threat for WrestleMania made the most sense. But I think this is the way they're going to go. I think the storyline here is going to be that because Becky is suspended, whether she's reveals she has an injury or not, she's pulled and she's gone from the match and she's not there. I believe that the storyline will then be that someone else needs to challenge Ronda for the title, and that person ends up being Charlotte Flair. And then week or two, maybe a month before WrestleMania, Becky's returns, everyone's so excited now that Becky's back in the match. And now we have our triple threat, and it is what it is. I mean, hey, Charlotte, a lot of people are not happy about this, and I get it. But this Ronda-Charlotte match was rumored for quite some time. This was going to be the WrestleMania main event. Obviously, Becky took off. The man character has been incredible. She was one of the most over people during WrestleMania weekend. It was a sight to be seen. It was great. I've been a huge fan of it. I was there when she turned heel originally at SummerSlam and really kicked off this whole man thing. So I love it. But I guess they're not going to take Charlotte out of that. And there's something to be said for the fact that if Becky's able to beat Charlotte and Ronda, it'll add more to Becky's, title win and the importance behind it and the impact that she'll have on that. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section or over on Twitter. Are you guys all for this? Are you guys like, I don't want any part of this triple threat match. I don't want Charlotte near the match. I want Becky and Ronda one-on-one. Or are you guys kind of cool with it? Are you okay? And think, okay, no big deal. If this happens, it happens. And, whatever. Let me know in the comment section. I really am interested to kind of gauge the general public. I know some folks on Twitter aren't thrilled about it, but it kind of is what it is. I personally would love to just see the one-on-one match. I'd love to see Charlotte and Asuka go back at it. Rematch from last year's match at Mania when Charlotte got that big win over Asuka, and it ended up being something that was, a situation that I think really lended itself and did ended up giving a big win to Charlotte. She defeated Asuka, the first person to do so, and at the same time, Asuka's never really got the win back. So I thought that would be something to kind of look into and go that way. Doesn't seem like they're going to do it. I think they're going to go with the triple threat, and I think the story will be that people will not be as angry about it because they will have gone from thinking Becky's not a part of WrestleMania anymore and then be super stoked when she's inserted back into the match and forget about the fact that Charlotte's there too, right? I think that's their thinking, and that's the theory I have. So that was that. From there, Ronda came out, destroyed Liv Morgan, destroyed Sarah Logan, looked like a complete beast, looked like a monster in doing so. She was totally show up, be intense, destruction, out. And I think that is their biggest mistake that they have done with Ronda Rousey from the start. The appeal of Ronda Rousey in UFC, and I know this because I followed Ronda in UFC, and I used to go to all of these shows that Ronda was, not to the shows themselves, but to, your Buffalo Wild Wings or your Dave & Buster's and all those places, those bars that were playing the UFC shows where Ronda Rousey was really pumped up and Ronda was really built as like this big deal, this big thing. And the appeal there was one of two things. Number one, it was, oh my God, is Ronda going to knock this other fighter out in 10 seconds again? Can she do it again? Is she going to knock her out in under 30 seconds? And that was the excitement. And when Ronda did have those dominant victories, no one was sitting there going, oh man, that was kind of a bummer. I mean, would have been nice to have a more competitive main event. People were like, oh my God, Ronda did it again. This is incredible. But then there were some that were like, well, hey, I'm watching Besh Correa over here, and she's running through the ranks. I'm watching Holly Holm over here. She's rising through the ranks. Can one of these ladies take down Ronda Rousey? So that became the hype there. And I think that is what WWE should have done with Ronda Rousey. They should have had Ronda destroying everyone right and left. You got to bring people up from NXT, who are way early on just to get fed to Ronda. Do it. Have Ronda get out there and destroy them. Have 20, 30-second matches where she's destroying everyone and build up a pay-per-view match between her and Ruby Riott, her and Sasha Banks, her and Charlotte Flair. Doesn't matter who you're building up the matches for, but you could have that guy over here. You could have Sasha go over here and be winning match after match after match after match to where people go, oh, damn, I wonder if Sasha could actually stop this freight train that is Ronda Rousey over here, and he'll lead to the big match at the pay-per-view. Instead, they kind of just had Ronda become like an everyday part of the roster and have random tag matches. And I think that's probably the mistake they made. Hindsight being what it is, I think years from now we'll go back and we'll say, that was really the mistake they made with Ronda Rousey. Similarly to the mistake they made with Bill Goldberg. But of course, when Goldberg was there, and I'm talking early Goldberg WWE run back in like 2003, 2004, when Goldberg was there, the reports were that his attitude was like the shits. It wasn't very good. All intents and purposes, Ronda has been awesome backstage and clearly loves what she's doing. If you watch that 24 special, really excited about being a part of WrestleMania last year. And seems to be living a dream. She's wanted to be a WWE superstar for a long, long period of time. You can go back to when she was on Roddy Piper's podcast and asked him for the name of Rowdy, and she's always had that strong interest in wrestling and that tie into wrestling. So it'll be interesting to, I don't know why they didn't book Ronda stronger. I know she's still technically, I believe, undefeated, but she should have had a lot more dominance in these matches so that these other matches now would have been, oh, damn, you have the band Becky Lynch who's over here making, winning the Royal Rumble and making a name for herself on SmackDown. Is Becky now going to be able to take out Ronda at the big match at WrestleMania? And I think it would have meant more. But good showing last night from Ronda. Didn't get her hands on Ruby Riott, so I can only assume that you're going to get Ronda and Ruby at Elimination Chamber. I would think so. That seems like a good Elimination Chamber main match. I remember when Batista returned and he had that random Elimination Chamber match with Alberto. The Chambers sell that pay-per-view as is, and people are excited about those matches. So whatever else is added, I don't think is that big of a deal. From that point on, though, they had a match to determine the #1 contenders for the Tag Team Championship. This was the Revival defeating the B Team, Heavy Machinery, and the Lucha House Party, the team of Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado. So it is going to be the Revival getting another chance to go one-on-one, or I guess 2-on-2 rather, for the tag championships against Rude and Gable. I'm into it. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be something where hopefully they switch the titles there. But if I had to guess right now where we're going with all this at WrestleMania, I actually think there's going to be a 2 or 3 team match, or maybe just a straight up tag team title match, where you're going to get Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder going for the tag titles at WrestleMania and getting the win. That should be the first win for Curt Hawkins. It should end the streak. They've built it up for years now, this Curt Hawkins streak. And Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder back together. They had a great promo afterwards. I know some people are whatever about them, but I love them. The Michael Jordan of figure collecting and the Scottie Pippen of figure collecting. Cheap Curt and I don't know, what do they call Zack? But loved it. I thought that their promo afterwards, backstage, Zack Ryder basically down on his luck because they misspelled his name last week. Curt Hawkins down on his luck because he hasn't won a match in years. Interesting stuff. So we'll see where it goes. Should be fun. And but that's where I think it's going to go. I do hope the Revival get the belts, though. Been a long time coming. If you keep beating the Revival, they're not going to mean as much. But if they get the titles here, they can really have a good sustained reign. That's where I hope things eventually go. Next up on Raw last night, I did write down my notes on the show. Kurt Angle. All right. So there's a couple things about this Kurt Angle deal. First off, they have a deal where Kurt Angle is backstage he's walking around backstage. And I thought it was a little strange because you have Apollo Crews back there, you got Mickie James back there, and you have No Way Jose, who was not dancing for the first time, I think, since he's been called up. But Kurt came to the ring. He basically was teasing retirement, going through everything that he's had over the last little while here, basically since he's returned to WWE and since he got inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame. I guess it would be 2 years ago now, right? Yes, because I was in Orlando when he got inducted. So he comes out and he is teasing retirement, and he's going through his whole deal, and he seems like he's down in the dumps. He's down on his luck. He doesn't know what to do. And he ends up doing a situation where he's looking like, I think he said that he replaced the 3 Ds with the 3 I's with the 3 Ds, and I don't remember what they were, but it was desperation, despair, and depression, I think. So he's out there, pretty sad, but he's out there and he's reliving his, memories of his career, how he got to see Jason Jordan, and they're building this up as a pretty big deal. They got a little camera backstage they're showing some members of the roster watching and kind of feeling, everything that Kurt Angle's doing. Looks like he's going to retire, but instead he's interrupted by Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre. And they come out, they start berating him, putting him down, whatever. Leads to a tag match with Braun Strowman and Kurt Angle against McIntyre and Corbin for the end of the night. And I will say, I immediately was like, they're going to turn Kurt. They're going to turn Kurt, and the match at WrestleMania is going to be Kurt Angle against Braun Strowman. Based on the end of the match, the end of the night, I think that we might get another chance for this, and I'll get to that at the end. But this was something to get you kind of excited. Was Kurt going to retire? Where's he going from here? Where are they going? So, and you got a promise of a Kurt Angle match at the end of the night, so it was kind of cool. They go to commercial break. They come back. Apollo Crews shows more fire here. There was two people yesterday. It was Apollo Crews. Apologize. Apollo Crews and Dana Brooke. These two showed so much fire last night. It came out of nowhere. And especially for Apollo Crews, he was so upset that he felt that, Kurt Angle was being disrespected and how he's an all-time great and this, that, and the third. And basically, he was really just had more fire for him than he's had about anything in his entire career. I've always never really been a huge fan of Apollo. I feel like his character's been a little flat ever since he started in WWE, even down in NXT. But it was basically, he was upset about that. And then he was eventually confronted by Drake Maverick and Razor, because now Akam is out. So rather than just pulling Razor and doing what they usually do with teams, if you think about it, when Scott Dawson's been injured or when Jimmy Uso's been injured, the other member of the team is just off television entirely. Doesn't seem like that's what they're doing here with Razor. Instead, it seems like he's kind of going to have a little bit of a chance to have a singles run, as Drake Maverick is still with him and doing the deal there. So they came, kind of confronted Crews. Crews getting more and more angry as time went on, and maybe they teased a bit of a match between the two, but nothing was announced. Next up, the final Raw qualifier, and the way that they've been doing these Elimination Chamber qualifiers has been that on Raw, the ladies have to advance to get into the match, but on SmackDown Live, they're just putting people in the match, which is kind of weird. But it was Sasha Banks and Bayley against Alicia Fox and Nikki Cross. Not sure what the deal was with Alicia Fox and Nikki Cross. I don't know if that means that Nikki Cross is going to be a heel now. I sure hope not. I think she has a real kind of a charm to her, a little bit of a extra type of charisma that's like kind of a low-key charisma, but I think it works specifically for her character. So I hope they don't turn Nikki Cross heel. But Bayley and Sasha, they beat them there. A lot of people think Bayley and Sasha are going to run through that Elimination Chamber and win the tag titles. I don't think that's the way they're going with this. But could be wrong, and we'll get to there as we continue to talk about the Elimination Chamber in the weeks to come. But Bayley and Sasha are in. So it's Bayley and Sasha. It's Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose from SmackDown. If back on Raw, it's Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, and also Nia Jax and Tamina. And the other SmackDown team is the Iconics. There'll be another SmackDown team added later today. Probably no surprise that many people have figured that out. If you don't know, though, there's been some kind of advertising that has listed Carmella and Naomi as that final team. So they should be added tonight. So there won't be any Bellas or there won't be any call-ups or anything like that. They're going with the standard 6 teams. So kind of is what it is. I do think, though, that Natalya and Ember Moon would have factored into the equation had Ember not been injured. I think they probably would have gotten a spot over Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. But with the injury, it makes sense for them not to put like Natalya and Dana Brooke in there as a makeshift team. Next up, Elias took on Double J, Jeff Jarrett, and he was out there strutting and he's doing his. And I know my strut's not very good, but I didn't think that Renee's strut was all that hot last night either. So they did. Double J came out. He was not wearing the ridiculous old outfit that he used to wear. No cowboy hat, no nothing. He was actually in Don't Piss Me Off gear. T-shirt, shorts, came out with the guitar. I was like, he's Don't Piss Me Off, Jeff Jarrett. He shouldn't have came out to the old country singer stuff or spelled his name. He should have been, hey, you pissed me off now, so I've had to turn to, late 90s Jeff Jarrett, and I'm going to kick your ass now. Instead, he came out with Road Dogg. Road Dogg was decked out head to toe in gear, supporting the Trailblazers because they were in Portland, so he was shamelessly plugging it, but he did have a funny line in the beginning. I'm torn on this here. Part of me thinks that you can do worse by Elias than teaming him, so to speak, with Jeff Jarrett. I mean, then having him go against Jeff Jarrett and the Road Dogg and have him wrestle with these legends and get these decisive victories. That's fine if that's the plan. But, you know, yesterday Elias kind of got a fluke victory. And then after, well, not a fluke victory, but he got a victory. And then afterwards was laid out by Road Dogg. So it looks like they're going to continue this through. It's a second side feud. I don't think it's going to go past Elimination Chamber if it even gets there. But hopefully there's bigger plans for Elias after this. Then from there, they did a deal where they were doing the Finn Balor had came out. He said he wanted a match with Bobby Lashley. Lashley said if he wanted the match, he had to go ahead and defeat Lio Rush. They are giving you a little of Lio Rush every week. A little bit of signs here and there. First off, the dude's got the best frog splash in the business right now. Don't at me on that. His frog splash is incredible. He does things no one else does. And when they finally let this guy show what he can do on that bigger stage, because he does it on 205 Live to some extent, but when they just let him go, I think Lio Rush is going to be like a really fun fan favorite for guys to get behind, for the kids to love, and I think eventually he'll get there. Right now he's doing fine kind of as the storyline manager of Bobby Lashley and doing that whole deal. Fine. No problem with that. Totally cool. That being said, I think it's time that they explore what else they have at some point down the road with Lio Rush. And they had a good match. Finn and Lio had a good match. Lio showed a little bit of his innovative offense. Finn gets the win. So I guess they're going to go with Finn and Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber and I guess in the immediate future. By the way, I know there's some rumors going around about Finn Balor going to 205 Live after February. This is being attributed to BR WWE, Bleacher Report WWE, but it's nowhere on their page. I'm pretty sure that's fake. I've seen that going around. Not something that I'd worry about if you are a fan of that. Next up, they did a deal where they were in the back. You had Natalya. She had her headphones on. And Dana Brooke comes out. She basically is looking at Natalya. She's saying, hey, I know that I screwed up last week. I'm sorry about that. Didn't mean to. I hope that we could still kind of do our own deal. And Natalya was like not paying attention at all. And so this infuriated at some point Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke's getting all pissed off. She's like, you're not even going to give me time of day? Well, screw you, right? Well, it turns out as she leaves, Natalya reveals she's got the earbuds and she didn't hear anything she said. But Dana Brooke said she wanted a chance to prove herself against Natalya at some point. And I'm sure they will have a match. And I actually think this was Dana Brooke's best stuff she's ever done. Dana Brooke is someone who has not really gotten much opportunity to show what she could do in the ring or even behind the mic. So for her to get that promo time, I thought was good for her. Thought she did well with it. And it'll be interesting to see kind of where they go from there. I think eventually she gets, she'll have a good match with Natty and maybe earn Natty's respect. That led to another Moment of Bliss promo where they had EC3 come out. He hasn't said a word yet. Every time he wants to, he gets cut off. This led to Nia coming out. So to Dean Ambrose coming out. Ambrose was being a little more, well, so first a couple things here. So number one, that Alexa flirting with EC3. EC3 never said anything. They did ask, but it looked like Alexa was liking what she was seeing, whatever. They did a deal where Nia had kind of been bragging about what she did with Becky Lynch and whatever. So she's being built up as just this top of the. She gets more heat than anyone. I'd say even more than Baron at this point. She's getting more heat than anyone on the roster. Dean Ambrose came out. He asked EC3 who he was. And I actually thought they were going to start the tease for a Dixie Carter explanation as to who he is. But we didn't get any of that. So instead, it was set up for an impromptu match. My opinion, they blew it here a bit. I really thought the way they were going with EC3 was that they were going to not have him speak or wrestle at all until WrestleMania. Go the full Fandango way with him. Fandango 2013, if you remember, came into WWE. He'd always dance. He'd always say his name. But if no one said his name correctly, he'd be afraid to do it. And he refused, and he wouldn't wrestle until his name was said correctly. Even though the person who was introducing him was trying, it was a situation where he was always very upset. He was always down in the dumps, and he wouldn't wrestle. Eventually, this led to his first match being at WrestleMania, a match with Chris Jericho, where he got the win. I actually thought that was where they were going with EC3. I thought they were going to build this up, have him have his first match with WrestleMania against someone like John Cena. And I thought maybe he'd get the W there. Turns out that's not what they had in the cards for him. Last night he had his first match on Raw with Dean Ambrose, and he got a win. So big win for EC3. So this leads to the question. The storyline is that, not storyline, it might be storyline. WWE came out on Twitter and said that after WrestleMania in April, Dean Ambrose will not be re-signed with the company. They've since removed his merch off WWE Shop, at least the other night they did. They have stopped pretty much promoting him at all, and they had him lose relatively quickly to EC3. So what I think they're doing with Dean Ambrose is that they're building it up to make you think that he's leaving. Maybe at the end he won't actually be leaving. It's just weird. They didn't announce anything about today with Tommy leaving after he left from SmackDown last week. They haven't announced any of that stuff. So now they're at a situation where suddenly they have no problem with Dean Ambrose announcing that he's not going to be returning and when his contract expires. It's weird, and I don't necessarily think that's where they're going to go. So that's something to kind of watch. It's something to be interested in and something to kind of keep tabs on as things continue. All right. But yeah, it was a weird situation. Interesting to see where they go with EC3 moving forward. All right. That led to, actually, before I get there, that led to the main event. But before we get to the main event, we did get a little bit of a situation with Mojo Rawley. Rawley was backstage. He's doing a little bit of like split personality idea where he's looking at himself in the mirror and he's talking to himself in the mirror and basically saying now it's his time. It's weird. I'm not sure what they're going with it. I'd prefer Mojo. Mojo, I will say this. When Mojo's on Talking Smack, go back and listen to that. Mojo's an underrated promo when he's just being himself. I prefer him to see him do that. I prefer him to be hyped again for all I care. I don't know how this is going to go. Not liking it so far, but we'll see where they go with Mojo Rawley moving forward. Main event time. Tag match. Kind of a nothing tag match. It was okay. But right as it was picking up, they did a deal with Corbin coming in the ring, and he looks over at Braun Strowman, and he goes, "You can't hit me. If you hit me, you know you're disqualified." Braun doesn't give a crap because, like, who cares about this match, right? The match has only been built as Kurt Angle's retirement, potentially, right? So Kurt Angle's going to retire earlier in the show and was sticking around for one more match to team with Braun, and instead, Braun couldn't care less. Throws Baron Corbin out of the ring. Disqualification. Sorry, guys. Long day of work. Came right from work to jump on here. Disqualification. Strowman is just running wild. Corey Graves says, obviously, Strowman wasn't the legal man, so it's an obvious disqualification, which is like, no. We've seen a million tag matches where this rule has not been implemented. Very weird, very annoying because you've just stayed and you've watched this match and you're hoping for something. And then the show just ends with Braun and Kurt laying out the Baron and McIntyre. And it goes off the air. I really was hoping it ended with an Olympic slam to Braun. I really hoped Kurt was going to turn on Braun, set up the big match between the two at Mania. Braun hasn't had a big match at Mania yet. Braun hasn't had that moment at WrestleMania. It's a great moment for him to face Kurt, kind of on Kurt's way out here. If that's the direction they go, that is the direction I think they will go, because I think that at Elimination Chamber, we're going to get a rematch between the two teams since nothing was settled tonight. And I would not be surprised if at that match, Kurt turns on Braun Strowman. I think that's where they're going with this. I could be completely off, though. But we'll wait and see. Overall, it was an okay Raw. Hated the ending, though. Hope they never do that again to end Raw. It was frustrating. But other than that, they did the deal with Becky Lynch. Personally, don't love that angle. But it was at least some storyline progression, and they continue to build towards the the women's tag team title match at the Elimination Chamber. So that was Raw in a nutshell. It was okay. I'm hoping for a little more tonight with SmackDown. Not sure if there's anything even announced for SmackDown. I think is it Samoa Joe and Randy Orton tonight? Let me jump here real quick and see if there's anything on tap for SmackDown tonight. Kind of give ourselves something to sink our teeth into. Not sure I'll be able to jump on here with you guys tonight, but we will see. I will be back with another video, though, tomorrow. So make sure you guys stick out with that. Oh, this could be fun. So you are going to get on SmackDown. Let's get to this preview here. Give you guys a little something. Daniel Bryan and Jeff Hardy tonight. So that's a bit of a dream match there. That should be fun. That's the announced main event. So that should be real cool. I'm into that. That'll be fun. So that's going to do it for me right now, guys. But let me know what you guys thought in the comment section. If you like what you see, smack that. I got just thrown off that. Smack that subscribe button and turn the bell on so that you know when I'm on the air and you can jump on with me, kick it, and do our thing. So until next time, everybody, this has been Tommy on the Spot. It's been great to be back here with each and every one of you guys. We'll be back throughout the week and a lot more fun to come here on Watchalong Wrestling. I'll talk to you guys again real soon.